on Friday and guy buys a motorcycle on Friday. He rides it around Saturday morning. Then he thinks he can jump in a group like mine or yours and hit the road. That created some problems on some of our trips because we had planned some of these 6 months to a year ahead of time. And we had people 2-3 weeks before we're getting ready to go that wanted to jump on our group, piggyback on our planning and ride with us. Well, we thought that was a bit unfair. Plus, we didn't really know these people. So we've kind of adopted the Rotary mantra. We require new riders to come to 2 meetings before they get an application. They then do a checkout ride with one of our road captains, and then they sit through an orientation. Not everybody's ridden in a group ride before. When we go to a benefit ride, we try and meet up and ride in together so that we're riding our group inside the benefit ride. We don't want to be just part of that mass exodus and you don't know who you're riding next to or how they ride. So we really try and protect our group. The other reason for the orientation, and we take a little flack from it from some of the Harley groups, is we parade without a permit. What I mean by that is I'm usually not the road captain. I'm usually riding in second or third position. David Jackson on a go wing is usually our road captain. We're communicating old school with CBs. We probably have 10 or 15 people still on the CB network. But if we come to a 4-way stop, we wait till our very last bike stops. Then I'll roll into the intersection and hold traffic. The entire group will ride through the intersection and I'll fall in the back. When it's clear, David will signal single file. Everybody will move to the right and I'll come up on the left side of the lane on our side of the road. So we want people to be aware that that's how we ride in our group. If we have, 10, 12, 15 bikes, our average ride's usually 15 to 20, maybe 22 bikes. If we get up in the 30s, we usually break into 2 groups. But we do an orientation so that people know how we ride, what our hand signals are, when we're going to stop, just what our protocols are. If you guys are like us, we really don't like surprises out there. We're all, creative and flexible and we all get along well, just like we would riding with you guys. But if we're doing some things a little different, we'd rather people know about that. We have other rides. We do a first Saturday ride every month. That's usually 150 to 220 mile ride. We do a 4-day ride every spring. Roy, that's what you were referring to, and I'll talk more about that in a second. We do a 2-week ride every other year. That's when we'll plan and do the Grand Circle out west. If you haven't done that, that's probably one of my favorite rides, but that does take a lot of planning to put that together. When we did the Grand Circle, we had 36 bikes. In fact, when we went to Nova Scotia, I think we had 38 bikes. So we had a pretty good sized group. Jumping back to the spring ride, we actually have 2 of them scheduled, which is a little unusual for us. The director of our YMCA locally here, Darren Danley, accepted a position up in Scottsville, Kentucky at a handicapped kids camp called Courageous Kids. Scottsville, Kentucky is near Bowling Green. It's an hour north of Nashville. It's about 40 minutes from Mammoth Cave. So it's right in a very nice area. Darren's invited us to come up on a motorcycle ride. It's about 315 miles from here. We've got a route planned to go up there and then ride that area, going up on a Thursday, returning back to our area on a Sunday. There won't be any kids at the camp at that time. And that's probably going to be more of a guy ride just because of the distance and the accommodations. Later in May 29 through June 1st, a Thursday through Sunday, we booked a 4-day ride up at the Big Lynn Lodge on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's about a half mile, 3/4 of a mile north of Little Switzerland. If you've stayed at Little Switzerland, it's a very nice place. Ownership has changed. They've doubled their prices. And Big Lynn Lodge is just a little more budget friendly for us. Same rooms, same views. Big Lynn Lodge also includes breakfast and dinner in their accommodations. So it's family style. They bring the food out to the table, and that works out pretty good as well. I checked the other day. We booked everything they had, which I think was like 35 rooms. We've got reservations for probably 20 of those at this point. So we do have a couple of rooms available there. Our motorcycle meeting is Thursday night, tomorrow night. I'll reiterate then that, we need to get reservations in for that. But we will do the ride planning on that depending on what's available as far as roads and routes. Some of my favorites in that area are to go north on Highway 80, make your way over to Roan Mountain, and then you circle back around towards Bristol to 321 and 421, coming back in around Boone. That's a nice ride. Our approach last year was to go up Highway 80. Roy, I'll mention these if you've ridden in North Georgia at all. Clayton, Georgia's up in the corner. You take a highway over called War Woman. In fact, I think I took Jerry down that road when we did the ride up that way. It hits Moonshiner 28 and goes through Highlands and Cashiers. From there, you can make your way over to Brevard or several different ways up to the Blue Ridge Parkway. So that's worked out pretty good, but we'll have to see what roads are available. We went up through Bat Cave last time, went that far east and then went up the mountain just to have a little different way to work. So we'll have a planning meeting putting that together. Whatever we put together, we always double check it. I run a Facebook group called Ultra Classic Rider Garage. I think I've got about 11,000 people on there. So people are always asking for maps and places to go. Doesn't matter where you're going, you need to be in touch with the routes. You need to be in touch with the weather. I'm sure you guys run a bunch of weather apps on your phones. I run a couple of different ones. I run one called My Radar because it gives me the live radar. And I can move that around and look where I want to go. The other one I matched that up with is one called, it's AccuWeather. And AccuWeather by location will give me the rain percentage over the next 2 hours. So I can check the cities ahead of us, looking at the radar, looking at my radar. You can't be an expert in weather prediction, but we're probably, let's just say we're better than 50% right. You can dodge some of that while you're out there. On our 4-day weekend rides, we can flip Friday and Saturday if that gives us a better weather look. If it's going to be damp, we'll take a more direct route to get where we're going. If we've got extra time, then we've already got other routes planned that we can add on to it. So some of it, as you well know, is seat of the pants. Just whatever makes the most sense while you're out there. We do a lot of research before we take some of these rides. And there's several people up and down the area that'll help you with rides. One of the first books I got was Motorcycling the Appalachians. This was written by Hawk Hayback. He was a DeKalb County, Georgia motorcycle officer. He's got books 1, 2, and 3 that pretty much start in North Georgia and go at the Blue Ridge Parkway. Very simple, very step-by-step. Here's a Lookout Mountain loop. Goes over towards DeSoto Falls, things like that. He's actually spoken to our group before. He now lives up in North Carolina. Another good resource if you're doing national traveling, Great American Motorcycle Tours. This one actually has sub books from it. Got it there too. Just depending on where you're going, look in the zones. I didn't bring a Butler map with me here, but you have MAD maps, MAAD maps, and Butler maps. Even some of the state highway maps will give you where the scenic highways are. What I have found probably the most useful recently, do y'all know a guy by the name of Randy Freeman that lives up in the Northeast? He has these Freeman maps. They're free. Catskill, New England, Finger Lakes, anywhere you want to go. Adirondacks, New England, West Virginia, Kentucky. The Georgia one I've used so much that he actually sent me a laminated one. I say he sent me, he billed me for it. If you're not familiar with the Freeman maps, you could have a lifetime goal of writing everything he's got on one of his maps. So we look for those roads or places we haven't been before. I'm going to share the screen here. That one, share. Is that the page for Freeman maps there? Okay. If you scroll down, if you can see my cursor there, that's the Wheels Through Time. That gives you an idea of where it is. This is the Blue Ridge Parkway from Cherokee going up. So as you can see on either side of these are a lot of approach roads that you can go in and out to get up to the Blue Ridge Parkway. Speaking of the Blue Ridge, the Smokies, our starting point at Cherokee, you can see how much of it is closed right now. Some of that is from the current weather that we just had. Some of that's still from rock slides or bridges out, things that they have up there. So basically the Blue Ridge right now is closed from Little Switzerland all the way to Cherokee. None of it's open. Here's a map from North Carolina called drivenc.gov. And you can actually pull it up by county, look at the various roads. You can see these in this area. Graham County is where the TV show Moonshiners was filmed. That's where Iron Horse Motorcycle Lodge is. The Dragon Tail's right over to the edge of it. And several of those roads are just not available at the moment. So we try and stay on top of what's going on in the roads. Another great resource is Maggie Valley Rides. They've got restaurants, campgrounds, rides. Gary Bowler out of Jacksonville, Florida ran this site, and Gary passed away about 1.5 years ago. But he's got some great resources there, and they continue to keep that up for you. There's some pre-planned rides there that you can go through. A bunch of these you guys would recognize, the Blue Ridge Churhala and different ones. Bob Rosa's Saloon here, totally wiped out. They had nothing but a concrete slab left after the flood. So they're in the process of rebuilding right now. But if I pull that up, it will show you, a pretty good map of how to get there. We usually go in through Hot Springs, which is number 4 on this map, and run over. Again, just another great road in our area. Being more specific, here's North Georgia. We live right here at the bottom. This is a road called the Gauntlet. Suches and Dahlonega. Suches is here. Delana goes right down below here. Highway 180 is our most technical road in the state right here. This Highway 19 here, if you continue on that, that becomes the Dragon Tail. So again, a lot of good riding. This is a day ride for us. We can get here from Suches. We're probably 35 miles from there. So we've got a lot of good riding right in our backyard. So those are just some of the resources that we use. There's the Maggie Valley Rides, the North Carolina, the Blue Ridge Parkway. It just covered up with closure. Summer, winter, summer construction. Right now, it's pretty much all closed. And then we talked about Randy Freeman's maps. Again, his maps are all free. If you're going to order from him, order all of them, or just ask for one of each. He gives them away because the advertisers are actually paying for the maps. He just asks that you cover the postage on it. And if you want to call Randy, I've got his number. He's always glad to talk to you. We did a West Virginia trip, I guess about 2 years ago. I went up to New River Gorge area, Blakely, West Virginia. And he helped us picking out which rides would be best suited for what we wanted to accomplish up there. Turned out to be a really nice trip. We enjoyed it. That was a little bit longer than our 4-day trip. I think that one turned into about probably 8 or 9 days, but it was a nice road that we put together. That's a little bit about our group. I'm going to stop sharing at this point. I'd be glad to take any questions that you guys have, or if you want to give us suggestions on areas we haven't been to. On our wish list is the Upper Peninsula. I'm not ridden Oregon or Washington. I'd like to do some riding up in that area, but that may end up being a flying ride. That's a long ways from Georgia.
Hey, Ted, actually, the first weekend you mentioned there that you got your ride going, I'm planning to do a flying ride into Georgia. One of our former, or not Georgia, Oregon. One of our
Okay.
former members, she's up there. She's actually in a brand new Rotary Club up there, and she's asked to come up for that, and I'll be putting that information out to IFMR soon.
Okay.
Anyway, and so that's an opportunity, and yeah, you and I talked the other day that that might be something I could put together, doing a loop around the Lake Superior would be kind of a
Okay.
cool idea. Yeah. So, hey, I did have a couple questions. You know, your group is rather large. I probably should be asking Deb this too, but you know, what is your average size of group when you have a ride?
When we have a ride, it's probably 18 to 22.
You mean your ones that are local there for an hour or two, but
Yes,
I
our
mean
day
the
rides.
groups when you go up, like for instance to the Parkway and stuff, I see you reserve like 30 some rooms and stuff like that. Is it similar average when you have a group out in the
Yeah,
long road? Wow.
it is, but
Do you
we'll break into 3 groups,
okay? So you try to keep it down around 10, 12 people then, huh?
10 to 12. Yeah.
Or motorcycles, huh?
Yeah, for a
Yeah,
couple
that's
of reasons. One, you can't manage much more than that.
yeah.
Practically, you can't eat lunch with much more than that either, unless you want to have a
Ah,
2-hour lunch. You can get 8 or 10 people into a lunch place in and out, but you
do you,
go
do you
in with 25, 30.
do you do you spread the groups then like a half hour or something?
If they're going the same route, yes.
Okay. I wondered how you were doing that because you know that I've led groups before and it just gets really hard when you get above 12 people.
Yep, it does. We'll pick a Mexican restaurant and a barbecue restaurant in the same town.
Ah,
And one group will maybe take off 20 minutes to 30 minutes ahead of us. And just getting gas. When we pull out in the morning, everybody's got a full tank. I rode with a group out of our next county over, Gwinnett County. They're like, "Oh, we'll get gas whenever we get to the stops." I'm like, "No, that drives me crazy. I want everybody to have a full tank so that I don't have to, negotiate or change up or wait on somebody getting gas. It just kind of breaks it all up." But we
My,
stop. Go ahead. We stop every hour and 15 minutes, at least for a 5-10 minute break.
my other question I had written down here, and you probably said it, but I was screwing around trying to get the recording going. Anyway, how many, how many members do you have right now?
Probably about 140.
That's pretty cool.
Our meeting tomorrow night, we'll probably have 65, 70 at the meeting.
I think that was about how many was there when I was there.
It was a pretty good sized group, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pretty interesting, pretty interactive,
Yep.
and good bunch of people. Very few Rotarians, right?
Yep. Not as many as I would like. That was our initial goal. And there wasn't enough overlap really there to sustain it. In fact, our motorcycle group is more successful than my Rotary club is. My club is the second club in our county, and we started 3 of the other clubs, and we've yet to build our membership back up. It's kind of a challenge right now. I think I have brought in close to 30 members, not just to my club, but also to the other clubs in our county. I'm the past AG. I did that for 3 years. So that helped. That helped grow our district, which, by the way, is the #1 in the zone. But I need to do more in my own club. It's just hard to do. Jerry, I probably taught probably 15 people how to ride. And probably the majority of those, at least 10, had never used a clutch before.
You gonna teach me someday?
I'm still learning myself.
You got me on a Harley, guys.
That's true.
So sacrilege.
Well, it either turned your head or it made you appreciate what you have, one or the other.
It was both.
Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of good bikes out there.
Absolutely.
We've got some Vulcans. We've got, some Yamahas, some different ones. They're all good.
You ever have any issues like that? You had noted in your notes you sent me that something about the different bikes in your group.
Well, they're all cruisers. They all have windshields. We have flagged people recently for dry rotted tires or screws in the tire. One guy said, "Hey, my back tire was low. I had to pump it up before I got here." We're like, "Roll that backwards. There's a screw in it." We're like, "You're done." He said, "I can't go." I'm like, "Nope, you can't go." But not just for him, but for the other people. We can't have somebody with a tire going flat. You got to get that fixed. Had a guy on a go wing, older go wing, front tire had plenty of tread on it, but was dry rotted. And we're like, the way we
Wow.
ride these curves, no, and we ride fairly aggressively. My brother comes up from Florida and rides with us. In fact, he was on the Big Lynn trip. When he got back home, he needed,
Flatlander.
yeah, he got back home to Florida and he went to get his tire changed. And the mechanic called another guy over. He said, "Look at this tire." They thought it was defective because the way the edges were worn, and it sounded like a mud grip. You had that roaring noise. And they're like, "Did you run this flat? What happened?" He's like, "Nope. Just rode with a group up in North Georgia and Western North Carolina for a week." So we try and ride safe. We've had very few incidents. Most of the things we have had have actually been more medical related than riding related. So I mentioned, Jerry, I don't know if you were here at the time, that we're up to about 10 or 12 trikes. And that's a whole different riding experience. I think on the Big Lynn trip, we'll have the trikes ride by themselves.
Got any Can-Ams?
One of the ladies has a Can-Am, but she usually rides with her husband.
When I ultimately go that way, that is probably the direction I'll go.
I'm looking at that dual front wheel that's got the cantilevered front end. I think Yamaha has one, but there's some aftermarkets. I saw a guy riding one in the snow.
I think there's an aftermarket for the older Gold Wings for that same thing.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. I've ridden the trikes, and it puts so much pressure on your lower back because that's your pivot point for all your steering. You know, it's like a car. It wants to go straight. It doesn't want to go in the curve. But
It's
that's
actually
my
worse than the
personal.
car. The tire doesn't slip correctly.
That could be true. Yep. Well, that's a little bit about what we do and how we do it. It's a little different. It seems to be working for us because we continue to grow our group. In fact, I mentioned that we make the new folks go to 2 meetings. That way they can't jump in the month before a big trip and go with us. If they haven't joined 2 months out, they're not going. So we're pretty particular about that. I mentioned we have shut down our website, but we're very active on Facebook. But we do keep that page or that group private, so nobody can see our coming and going unless they're a member of the group. I think I have about 210 people on the Facebook group, but some of those are spouses or, you know, people that we know, but they're not necessarily going to be riding with us.
You have any outsider members? People like me?
A few, yes.
Oh, really? How far away?
Well, my brother lives in Florida. We have 3 members live in Florida, but they have places up in the mountains or they ride with us on occasion. Darren Danley just moved to Kentucky. He rides with us, but you know, he's not here on a monthly basis. So that's going to happen. Not a problem.
Pretty cool.
It's one thing about having your own group. You can kind of do what you want to.
That's
But
never stopped me in Rotary either.
we put safety first. We put fun second. We don't have rules just to have rules. There's been some Gold Wing groups up here. What were they? GRRWA groups. And some of them got very structured. The Punishers, which is the motorcycle LEO group, they can be pretty strict. Got to come to a meeting, got to do this, got to do that. Our Saturday rides, I generally have 18 to 22 people, but it's a different 20 people every Saturday. We did a New Year's Day ride. We met for breakfast. 36 people showed up, but only about 18 of us rode afterwards. It was a little chilly. You know, it was below 50 degrees here.
That's perfect riding weather.
It is. It was like 34 when we got up. So that's a little breezy for us.
What was it when we left that time heading south, Jerry? 28?
You remember that time we were in Pennsylvania? That the guy that owned the hotels was our leader, and we took off at 30 degrees that morning. Carlton froze his ass.
Us
When I lived
southern,
in Minnesota, it was 50 degrees. 50 degrees was my threshold. I could go out and ride at 50. Colder than that, and actually right now here in Texas, that's what we're having. So it's very weird weather right now.
Well, it's a dry cold.
It's a dry. No, it's not. That's the problem. It's a wet cold down here. It's not fun. And next week we're actually looking at potentially snow next week. So yeah, Texas will pretty much like, the borders will be closed. It's going to be a lot of fun next week.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Deb, the backwash on my airplane probably dragged it down.
Probably, I tell you, I'm gonna, yeah, definitely blame you for this one, dude. Um, hey Ted, have you guys done any accident scene management classes?
We have.
Ooh,
Oh, excellent. I'm a huge proponent of that. I actually brought it to Houston. I've actively participated, obviously in the basic and in the advanced classes, and it amazes me. I get guys who've ridden for 50 years who take the class and come back and say, "Oh my God, there's so much I just didn't know." And we're glad because they're the ones who go out and talk to other people and say, if you get a chance, you really need to take this class.
Yeah.
that might be an awesome program one night, if anybody's got a contact.
Say I had a
Oh,
half
I've got,
dozen used helmets at one point, two or three. Well, what I ended up doing, I donated them to the fire department to practice on. I said, I don't care what you do with them, cut them up so you can figure out how to get them off somebody. You know, the
yeah. And
modulars, the full,
Yeah.
just, hey, I don't need them. They're old. Just use them and use them for training.
They used to have
yeah,
those
and
stickers that say, do not remove helmet in case of crash.
it's pretty frightening the things I've seen on accident scenes. And it's like, oh my God, is this guy ever gonna walk again after watching somebody drag them out from under a motorcycle and not stabilize their neck? And yeah, videos are great, let me tell you. Put your damn phone down and, get involved, but it's another story.
It's my
Um,
understanding the MSF course grew out of a Navy course. Uh, and one of the directors is a retired guy now. He came and spoke with us a while back. But we've gone through the EMT courses at least twice. First aid, we keep a pretty good first aid kit with us. We don't keep a sat phone, but we do accident scene management. We have had people run off the road. The first thing you do is not get them back on the road, but secure the scene so somebody else doesn't run over you.
yeah, yeah, secure the seat. Yeah, yeah, it's very I actually just did a reenactment. I went they were giving the class down here and I go and do the exercise in the advanced class, and it is amazing. I got to play the drunk this time. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And for those of you who may have seen the picture on Facebook, yeah, I really did look like an accident victim. It was fantastic. Um, my group here in Houston, I started a women's community and I have almost 1,800 women here. And
Wow.
so I understand. Um, yeah, it's definitely interesting. And I mean, I could talk about years where the COVID years where people were going out and buying motorcycles like crazy, and B, I would put together a ride and be like, okay, meet at this gas station. I pull into a gas station, I've got 60 people waiting for me. And I mean, yeah,
Wow.
oh, yeah, craziness. And yeah, talk about trying to lead in that circumstance is amazing. And yeah, it's a lot of mayhem, but I still love it. I still do it. And yeah, and it's funny you talk about, yeah, we trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to show up at a restaurant, and we've done this. Usually I call the restaurants ahead of time, at least to give them a heads up that I'm about to roll in with a group. Um, and what we fill places, and it's amazing. It's been a lot of fun to do. Um, and I meet people every day who I got ones who, they're 5 days in. They just got their license.
Yeah.
I have those, and then I have ones who've ridden for 50 years. And we've kind of set up a little bit of a mentoring program, and that's been a real joy to work with because I've had instructors come to me and say, we don't know what happens to these people once we get them their endorsement. And you talk about teaching people how to ride. It's like, yeah, more than once I've gone to somebody's house, taken a bike out of a garage, gotten them on it, riding around the neighborhood, doing parking lot drills. And there is nothing more satisfying than that first trip out. And we're on a street with other cars, and they get to that first light, we've stopped, and they're over there and they're like, I can do this. I can really do this. So it's very fulfilling for me that way.
I just bought a Honda Rebel to use in training.
Oh, I've told people for years, my next business plan is going to be about buying a whole fleet of small bikes because
Yeah.
nobody holds on to them. And I'm like, just renting them to people for 6 months, because it's 6 months a year tops. And I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, you do not have to don't buy a brand new bike. Look at the secondary market, find yourself something used, put your butt on as many bikes and models as possible because they're all going to feel different. And as a woman, you hate being told, oh, you need to ride a Sportster, you need to ride this, you need to ride
No,
that. No, you got to figure out what's going to fit and feel good to you. And right now I'm riding one of the biggest Yamahas. I'm riding a 1900. And
Wow.
I have men who come to me and they're like, that bike is huge. And I'm like, yeah, it's a 113. It was a 113 long before Harley decided they were going to make 114s. And Seven and I have logged many, many miles. And most recently, my husband actually finally did it. He bought a Road Glide. And so not only did he buy a Road Glide, he is actually talking about riding the Hoka in 26. So we're really excited, doing a lot of
that's a
planning and a lot
challenge.
of talking to people. So that's a whole adventure into itself.
Have you done an iron butt?
Oh, my husband iron butts back and forth to Kentucky. He's lost his mind. Me, I'm just like, I don't need anybody to tell me, women, what I found, it's really funny when I have women who come and ride with me for the first time, and I lead a lot of group rides that are right in that sweet spot, 12, 15, that's about it. And they come out, they ride with us the first time. They've been riding with their spouses, their hog groups,
Yeah.
their husbands' buddies. They come and ride with us the first time and they're like, oh, this is so great. You're not riding 100 miles an hour, just, balls out. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't. I have to be very, very comfortable with my riding partners to ride like that. And I've got a couple girls who've ridden with me for years and years.
Yeah.
So I've got great stories. Like one of my friends tried to turn her bike into a jet ski, and that was kind of entertaining. I have great stories, but yeah, no, people, when you get to a point, your safety first, um, I have a lot of people, and you probably run into this just as well, where they go leading a group. They're like, oh my God, they go and lead their first group ride and they come back and they're like, that is way too much pressure. And I'm like, well, now you know what I've been doing for the
Yeah.
last, 10 years. And it's,
We make it look
they suddenly,
simple.
yeah, they think it's simple, and it's like, no, I'm constantly looking in my mirrors. I'm constantly watching traffic. I'm looking to see, and my girls who've ridden with me for years and know, like, if my head starts twitching one way or
Yeah.
another because they know I'm looking at my mirror because I'm looking for that out.
Yeah.
And they know it's coming, and they wait for the hand signal, even basic things like hand signals. Even taking 10 minutes, so many more rides would be so much more enjoyable if they took 10 minutes before they left to say, okay, here's the route, here's the basic hand signals I'm going to
Absolutely.
be using. If we get split, simple things like if we get split up at a light, we're gonna pull over towards the right
Yeah.
lane. We're gonna let traffic pass. We're not going to leave you. It's simple things like that that would make it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, our
And the group
local,
rides I've been on where the briefing's been, let's go, it's the ones I hate.
the our
Surprise!
our hog chapter just south of us, they left out the other Saturday morning, 32 riders. They're going like 20 miles. They get there, they have 15. Where'd the others go? They have no idea.
Wow.
Let me share one
Yeah,
other thing
that's
with you here for a second. See if this comes up. Is that showing some writing?
not yet. Try it
Uh,
again.
Try there, try there. How about now?
Up, here we go.
Okay. This is our application.
Oh,
Basic
nice.
information. Your emergency contact's got to be somebody different than your passenger. If your wife rides, you can't have her as your emergency. Then they rate their own ability. And I'll show you that again in a minute. Ask them a little bit about their riding history, but everybody signs a new one every year. There's a release at the bottom. But on the second page are those categories for riding. You've got to be a level 3 or above to ride with us on a group ride. Level 3 should be able to ride at night, all highways. They can ride by themselves. They can ride in a group. They know their hand signals. You know, they know how to communicate. That's the minimum level. A 1 or 2.
Okay, I'm
Can't ride.
I'm only giggling because of the ride at night part, because I know my husband is the president of an MC, and the funniest thing I think I heard from him over the last couple years is, yeah, we finally figured out that night riding is not in our best interest because none of us can see. So
Yeah.
still makes me
Ted,
laugh.
Ted, out of curiosity and some things I've been thinking about for IFMR, can you send me a copy of that?
Sure. Be glad to.
Thank you so much.
Not a
Hey,
problem.
we're coming up on the end of our hour here.
Okay.
I'm very glad that you shared with us tonight. I thank you so much for stepping in. Your talk was exactly what I had envisioned and then some, okay? Look forward to seeing you, hopefully there that first weekend of June. In fact, when I get off here, I'll probably get on the phone with the hotel and try and get a reservation in. So, thank you again so much.
Thank you guys. I look forward to riding with you. Deb, I'd love to get out to Texas and see you guys.
If you have my email address, please reach out. I may reach out because if I'm coming out there, I would love. It's always great to have a local who can tell us where to go and take us to cool places. So that'd be awesome. And Texas is huge. That's my only caveat. But trust me, I got some good places for us to go, even in East Texas.
When Jerry and Carlton, when I rode with them, they're like, here's where we're going to go. And I'm like, nah, don't do that. I didn't want to insert myself, but I'm like,
Yeah.
let me suggest a little different way to go.
There you
So,
go.
Yeah, that was good. And just for you two, your both your benefit, I already know both of you'll get along very well. Just because you're both you're both the same type of people. You'll love it. So thank you
Well,
guys.
and I'm actually the president-elect, so you may be seeing me around.
Hey, Ted, one other thing. You guys looked at Southeast Ohio?
I've ridden the triple nickel. Does that count?
Okay.
Yep,
Well, yeah,
that counts.
that and all the way up towards up to 250.
We rode into Zanesville. We were going through Kentucky. We
Yeah.
do some lone wolf rides, just 3, 4, 5 of us. And
Yeah,
Okay.
both sides of that border with Kentucky and Ohio there is really good. And same thing with West Virginia.
when y'all were talking about the training, there's an old video I did a while back when the police had their course set up locally. Now, that looks fairly easy. It took me
It's not.
6 years to get to that point. 6 years before I could do that.
I did one of those police courses. It's quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's so
But my skills went up tenfold in 3
Yeah.
days. So
we sponsor our members through Pro Rider Atlanta. We credit their dues back if they go take the course.
wow. Well,
So-
thank you again.
Thank you
I
guys.
had to write that down. Pro Riders Atlanta.
Yep.
Thank you.
He
All
gives
right,
us the
guys.
discount and then we give the dues back. So it costs the person like $40 to take the course. It's like a $200 course.
Well, thank you so much, and
Thank you, guys. I've enjoyed it.
we appreciate
you.
greatly that you talked with us. And
All
we'll
right,
see you
sir.
soon, I hope.
Jerry, I'll talk
Uh,
to you shortly.
As always, let's finish with a 5-way test. Rory, would you be the good guy to lead us?
Okay, the 4-way +1 test of things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned?
Sir.
Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Friendships.
Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? 5, will it be fun?
Will it be fun?
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
6,
everybody.
are we gonna get
Enjoyed
caught?
I love that part. All right. Talk to you all soon, I hope.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.
Hey, Ted.